Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Access Me Salon, where I will be exploring thousands of access consciousness classes recorded over the last 30 years. The first recording from 1986 until 2022. Join me and find out who likes what class best. I will be interviewing guests from all over the world, people who came to Access very early and who recently joined. So come and explore the world of Access Me. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session of the Access Me Salon. Today with amazing, beautiful, brilliant Megan Hill. Welcome.
Thank you for that introduction. Can you interview me
Well,
all the time, every morning?
oh yeah, it's your morning.
Yes.
With great pleasure, my dear. Megan Hill, the communication PR lady of Access Consciousness, social media expert. Today, I would like to ask you non-work related questions.
That would be
Access
great.
Me,
That would be
Access
great.
Me is its incredible application with all classes going or soon going back to 1986 that ever got recorded. At the beginning, classes with Gary got recorded, then with Gary and Dane. Later on, with other advanced facilitators, Simone Milassas, Kalpana, Anthony Mattis. What I would like to ask you today, Megan, I think you were just not hired to do social media for Access. You also started as a class participant. Do you remember the
I
very
did.
first class you went to that actually got recorded? And when
Yes.
was that?
I was thinking about that before because I was like, what year was that? I'm pretty sure it was a level 2 and 3, my first level 2 and 3. I found out they were going to be there. We didn't have, I don't even know if Access had like a proper website. It was that long ago. And it was in, I think it was about 2000, I'm going to say like 8, probably 2007, 2008. I can't remember exactly. And it was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I drove, like 8 hours as a good Midwestern girl does to get there. And I was so excited. Like, I didn't know what a level 2 and 3 was. I had just done foundation the weekend before. I was like, I just got to meet these guys. I got to meet Mr. Gary Douglas. He was facilitating the class. And that was at the time I also met Dane there as well.
So, do you remember? Did you go to the microphone and ask a question in that class?
I'm naturally not the one going to the microphone.
The
You'll hear it
PR and
lots of
social
things.
media lady.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you shy in your private life?
I'm not necessarily shy, but it was actually really cool because I remember it after a few classes, Gary would talk about people who put questions in people's heads. And I was like, oh, because I would sit in class and have like all these questions. And then people would get up and ask things that I was, pondering. I think I might have asked a question, but I was just so blown away at like the irreverence, and I was just like in awe of being able to be in a classroom setting, because I had done like a lot of metaphysical adventures up until then, and everything that I had done, like, sorry, I have dog hair. I'm petting my dog over here. So it's like getting dog hair on my face. Everything had been so serious, I'd done like meditation workshops and other things, and you couldn't like drink coffee, and you had to like walk in the room a certain way to not disrupt the energy. And so to show up into this room, it was so relaxed. I laughed for most of the time. I just was like, I had a great time. I did. The thing I remember about that class is that I did get called up. Dane was doing he was doing sessions in the back of the room, but he was also doing ESB tasters. So you'll hear some of those like early days ESB tasters he would do during a level 2 and 3 that Gary was doing. And I got called up on the table, and it was one of those moments where I was like, ooh, I really want to like book a session, but I don't know. Like I also wanted to go to that evening class and I didn't know if I could afford both. I was like, do I pay for a session or do I pay for this? And I was like, I'm just going to give it a go, pay for the intro and see what happens. And I ended up getting a session as well. And it was phenomenal. It changed my whole life. It just really changed my whole life. So
Well, I bet it did, because almost 17 years fast forward, you're still around, and you were also, of course, heavily involved in the creation of the application Access Me. If I asked you if there was a favorite class you listened to, that one, the one class that you go, fuck yes, finally I can listen to it all the time, what would that be?
I can't give you an answer because I love all of them. I think my favorite thing about the app is that it's there. It kind of like meets you where you're at. And if you're willing to play with it like that, like I was having a really like weird few days, like a week ago or something. Every day is weird probably, but I was just like super crunchy and I was like, okay, what can I listen to that would actually change this? And I pulled up the Access Me app and was kind of like going through the classes. And Gary did a class called Advanced Manipulation. I think it was Advanced Manipulation. And I was like, this one, like, I don't manipulation, like whatever. Like, how's that going to change the fact that I feel like a psychopath right now? And it was awesome. I mean, I was just taking notes. I'm pretty sure I had been on the original call or class, but it was like, it was so brilliant where he literally was talking about where you will, like how to manipulate yourself out of those insane moments, where you're head tripping or you're inventing problems. And it was exactly what I needed to hear. And it changed everything. So I've had so many moments like that every time I listen to the app. And also just having it, Dane did a Facebook Live a few days ago probably, but he was talking about like if you surround yourself like with miracles and remind yourself of the miracles and the magic that life can be, you start actually shifting the lens that you look through. And for me, whether that's Access on YouTube or you have the Access Me app, like the Access Me app really allows you to stay present in those places that you're asking to change different things. And to me, it just also like it makes me happier. Like during Christmas, they had a whole playlist on all the irreverent Christmas calls that Gary and Dane have done over the years, and I just put it on and I was just laughing, and it just like it's sometimes it just can be a mood lifter, and then it can be the thing that changes your day. And then it might just be like you have some tools that you needed at the time for money or what, like, so to me, I don't have a favorite. I love all of the classes. And they contribute to you when they do, and they contribute to you 17 later if you were in them and you didn't hear it the first time. So
Yeah, that would actually be the next question. What is for you the gift of re-listening to classes? I mean, there are probably a lot of people listening to this and going, you were in class. Why would you watch a movie again?
yeah,
So
I watch
what
movies
is
over and over again.
Okay. Me too,
Especially
by the way.
I love it if I haven't seen something in like 2 years. It's like a new movie for me. I have found it, well, the ones that like I have asked a question, like there was something I was listening to, I didn't even remember that I had asked the question. So that's been cool to realize how much I've changed since then. Also, there was one that I listened to that I did not hear. So I actually got the, contribution however many years later. And that telecall was, oh, I just remember the graphic, Living Beyond the Stereotype or Beyond the Stereotype with Gary. And I asked something and he was like, it was about like, Gary always takes you places that you don't think you're going to go. So I'm not even sure my question had to do with the response, but he was talking about where you actually, become like the energy of what you're supposed to be, like a mom, a wife, a blonde girl from the Midwest or whatever, and how you can actually change that, and you don't have to live by those stereotypes, essentially.
Wow.
Yeah, but again, like
Beautiful.
I listened to it 10 years or however 6 years later, and I was like, oh my God. I don't think I got that. Like I did, but I didn't. So it's
So
there.
if there was someone completely new on this and would like to explore consciousness through this application who has never attended a class, what would your recommendation be? How and where to start?
Well, first ask yourself like what adventure you want to go on. If you want to ease into it, you might start off with some of the free things at the top, and maybe some like intro, like 1 hour classes that were tasters. And if you are the adventure seeker extremist and you want to like dive deep, like I think that's so cool. I mean, if there was Access Me when I started in 2009 or whatever, I would have been just digging in the whole time. So choose your adventure, depending, maybe you do both. Maybe you hop back and forth. But there's something in it for everyone. And there's classes on everything. And then also just like working with all the content that's in there. I mean, I don't know about you, David. I've gone to so many like level 2 and 3, which became Choice for Possibilities. They have the same title, but it was never the same class.
Yes.
And there are things that came up in those classes that like helped me with parenting, helped me like, and I like wish I had notes on all of them. As I listen, I'm probably gonna like, oh my God, this one had this cool thing about bodies. Like it really is created by the class participants. So ask to follow the energy and see what shows up, because it's never the same.
Beautiful.
So yeah, there's
This is
gold.
one of the greatest gifts of access consciousness. It always changes, and it
Yeah.
always is on top of consciousness. They are on top of what's going on in the world. It's this ongoing discovery of what else is possible,
Yeah.
and the willingness to change. Also, the core method, like the clearing statement. I remember when I came along, it hasn't been changed. I don't know how many years was it, 10?
A
And
long
now
time. Yeah, I think like 10, because it hadn't changed since I came along. So that's a long time.
and I also know that it changed at the beginning very a lot. It was not pot poc, it was pot fip or something like that. But if you would like
Yeah.
to find out what the clearing statement was at the beginning, go and download the application. Look for a class that was probably recorded in whatever 1999, 2001,
Yeah.
2003, and explore how access developed, evolved, and always changed over time. Um, about the topics in the Access Me app, what are the areas of life where you can explore different possibilities? What is kind of the overview of what's available in Access Me topic wise?
All of it, whether it's, I think the interesting thing is like when you first, if you're new or old, whatever, wherever you are, you might think that you have something going on with a relationship, but what's underneath that is some other thing. And oftentimes, so like on the surface, you can have, there's things on relationships, money, creation, wealth, parenting, bodies, health, mental health, like all those things. But what I find is like, depending on wherever you start, it's oftentimes not necessarily, like what you thought. Like your money thing might have more to do with something that happened, with your, or something you're choosing with your body, or so it's always this beautiful meandering path of consciousness showing you like, hey, these are the areas that you could actually have more. So if you're willing to just dive in, there's something for everyone. I think that it's really cool. There's literally classes on everything. There's topics on everything. But also if you just like listen to some of the things like, the Choice for Possibilities, or the level 2 and 3, or the ESBs and stuff like that with Dane, what you'll find is that everything is covered at different times throughout. So just keep playing and seeing where you go and what happens and what shows up.
Well, I think I will do that now and see if I can find that class in Minnesota.
I actually
And
did. I looked for a class the other day. It was an ESB in Toronto, and it was a long time ago. I had just started working for Access. So I was a class participant for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years before I started working with Access. And it was the most intense class. Like getting there was intense, being there was intense. And I had a session and I was like, I haven't listened to that. I bet that, like, I listened for a long time and then who knows where the
okay,
recording
so
was.
what was that class? Maybe
It's
our
not,
listeners
the
also
third
want to
day
find out.
isn't loaded yet. It'll be there soon, but
Okay.
yeah, I'll have to look for the Minneapolis 2 and 3. I know there's some that are missing. Those were at the days I think I was getting CD cases of recordings. And I am a hoarder of Access Consciousness material. So I have a box somewhere with all my manuals and CDs because they change. And sometimes they go into, reference materials, but I'm like, if they take this part is so awesome. Like I want to make sure I have it. So I need to find my my box of Access stuff to see so they
So
can
if
load
any
it
one
up.
of our listeners is curious of how Megan, if you can hear Megan on the recordings, maybe that evening taster when she was on the table,
Yes.
I'm curious to find out now. And if you're curious in exploring consciousness through the Access Me app, go to the App Store, Android Store, download it, and start your journey of change. Megan, thank you so much for being my guest today, and I can't wait to see you very soon in another
Me
live class where
too.
we both hopefully ask a question so we can listen to it in 10 years.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for doing this and having me on. Yeah, just, go check it out. There's awesome classes on there for free if you download the app, and then you can at least see what's there. So I hope
Beautiful.
everyone downloads it in the entire world because that would change, at least give people the tools to change. Even if you just had the free stuff, those classes on the free things, like out of the box, they're amazing. So check it out.
Go check it out, download. Thank you so much, Megan.
Thank you.